Welcome back to the Crime Documentary Files channel. He was the heir of an old and powerful family with a long-standing business empire, wealthy beyond imagination. She was the daughter of a renowned national diplomat, raised in privilege, known for her grace, talent, and gentle demeanor. To the outside world, they seemed like a match made in heaven, and their union was expected to be a dream marriage. Yet, it ended in tragedy. Her death not only revealed the decadent life of the elite, but also exposed the hardships faced by women in a male-dominated society. Her death sparked outrage across the country. Countless people took to the streets, and many celebrities spoke out demanding justice for her, bringing women together to fight for their safety. So what drove a billionaire heir to become a cold-blooded killer? Let's rewind to 2021 and uncover the grim details of this high-society family tragedy. This story unfolds in Pakistan, a predominantly Muslim country in South Asia, specifically in the capital city, Islamabad. Our main character, Noor Mukadam, was a talented 27-year-old woman born on October 31, 1993, in Amman, Jordan. She was the second of 3 children in her family. Both of her parents held distinguished statuses. Her father, Shaukat Mukadam, was a prominent Pakistani diplomat, having served as Pakistan's ambassador to South Korea and Ireland. Her mother also came from a powerful family. Due to her father's work, Noor spent a significant part of her childhood in Ireland, which shaped her upbringing. She received a quality education from a young age, with her parents being highly educated and open-minded in raising their children. They fully supported her interests. In such a family, Noor grew up as a kind-hearted young woman with a love for animals and art. She harbored a grand dream of making the world a better place. Although many might see this as an idealistic dream, Noor took it seriously, wholeheartedly engaging with people and the world around her, hoping to bring about gradual change. Later, her father's job required the family to return to Pakistan, settling in Islamabad. Despite leaving the familiar environment of Ireland, Noor adapted well, quickly falling in love with her new surroundings. Career-wise, she planned to design clothing and create murals, excelling in this field and producing many stunning works. Because her parents were part of Pakistan's upper class, Noor was acquainted with many wealthy families, including Zahir Jaffer. The two families had known each other for years through their parents' connections. Zahir, now 30, was the son of Zahir Jaffer, an immensely wealthy businessman in Pakistan. His family held vast wealth and influence, with a family business established by his ancestors long before Pakistan was founded, spanning industries like oil, railroads, aviation, and pharmaceuticals. His mother, Asmat Adamji, also came from one of Pakistan's wealthiest families, ranking among the top 40 in the country. Zahir's parents indulged him, letting him do whatever he pleased. As a result, he lived a life of luxury, almost like royalty. Large, influential families typically prioritize the education of their heirs, as they are expected to carry on the family's enormous legacy. Zahir received a quality education, attending prestigious schools in Pakistan like Beacon House and Lums before studying business management and psychology in the United States. He held dual citizenship in Pakistan and the US. Unlike the conservative norms in Pakistan, he preferred the openness of Western society, so he often spent time in the US and the UK, frequenting bars and entertainment venues. In 2018, Zahir happened to meet Noor. He was a successful young man, and she was an enthusiastic and lively young woman. He came from a powerful family, and she was the daughter of a diplomat. Friends remarked that they were a perfect match, practically made for each other. After getting to know each other, they officially started dating, though marriage was not yet on the table. Their relationship drew admiration and envy from those around them. On the evening of July 18, 2021, Zahir invited Noor to his villa on F7 Street in Islamabad. This neighborhood was a hallmark of extreme wealth, home to the elite. Since they were in a relationship, an invitation like this was nothing out of the ordinary, especially since she had visited his home several times before. She expected a typical evening, looking forward to the gathering. Little did she know, this would be a one-way trip, a journey of no return, and this villa would mark the end of her life. Time passed, and by the early hours of July 20th, 2021, Noor had been out of contact with her family for an entire day. Her father, Shaukat, had spent the day shopping for the upcoming holiday, and only noticed her absence when he returned home in the evening. At 12:47 a.m., he sent her 3 text messages, asking where she was, but received no response. At 5:48 a.m., her mother texted her as well, but still received no reply. During that time, 2 relatives tried calling her, but her phone was turned off. With each hour, her parents' worry grew. Finally, at 10:43 a.m., her mother received a voice message from Noor, assuring them she was safe. The exact content of the message was never disclosed. Relieved, her parents' anxiety eased. But in a strange twist, Zahir called around the same time, claiming that Noor wasn't at his place and that he didn't know where she was. It felt like someone confessing to not stealing money before even being asked about it. Although it seemed odd, since Noor had reassured them of her safety, her parents dismissed any concerns. Just a few hours later, Mr. Shaukat, Noor's father, received a call from the police informing him that his daughter had been murdered. This news devastated her parents, but they had to hold back their grief to identify her body. Learning that the crime scene was Zahir's home shocked them even more. When they arrived at the villa, they found blood covering the room, with Noor, just 27 years old, lying in a pool of red. The horrifying detail was that her head was nearly severed. A preliminary examination revealed she had been brutally tortured before her death, with multiple stab wounds and injuries from a blunt object. A forensic report later showed Noor had been assaulted multiple times, and the cause of death was asphyxiation, meaning the killer continued to dismember her after she was already dead. Bloodstains at the scene suggested her head had been struck. The crime scene was Zahir's home, and the police found weapons, a knife and a club, on his person. Zahir was clearly the prime suspect and was immediately taken into custody. Strikingly, there were several others in the room at the time, including employees from a healthcare company. It remains unclear why they were present. One of them might have been the person who reported the murder to the police, though they didn't reveal their identity, possibly to avoid unwanted complications or for fear of retaliation. To this day, the caller's identity remains a mystery. The police were under immense pressure, fully aware that this case would be exceptionally difficult to handle. Both the victim and the suspect came from influential backgrounds, but there was no turning back. What happened had happened. Given that Zahir held U.S. citizenship, frequently traveled between the U.S. and the U.K., and reportedly had a criminal record in both countries, having even been deported from the U.K., the investigators sought assistance from the UK and US authorities, hoping they could provide his criminal history. Zahir had a history of violence and substance abuse, and had even been arrested for assaulting his own mother. As the investigation deepened, it was discovered that Zahir's parents were also implicated as accomplices. The healthcare staff present were associated with his father's company, having been sent by him. Call records and statements from the healthcare staff revealed that Zahir called his parents for help after killing Noor. His father then sent people to the scene to try to destroy evidence and stage the scene. Fortunately, before they could carry out their plan, someone alerted the police, which led to the case being uncovered. On July 25, 2021, the police arrested Zahir's parents along with some household staff, sealed the healthcare company, and denied bail. It's worth noting that the police acted with remarkable efficiency and decisiveness, largely due to the massive public outrage. Given the influence of former Ambassador Shaukat, both online and in real life, many people pressured the police to act swiftly and deliver justice. After investigating the scene and reviewing the surveillance footage around the house, the police uncovered shocking details. They reconstructed the sequence of events as follows. On the night of July 18th, Zahir unexpectedly called Noor, asking her to come to his house. Noor arrived at 10:19 p.m., unaware that Zahir had already booked 2 plane tickets to New York for 3:50 a.m. on July 19th. He planned to propose to Noor that evening, hoping they would leave for New York together if she accepted. However, Noor was not yet ready for marriage. Although they had been dating for 3 years, She ultimately turned down Zahir's proposal. In Pakistan, refusing a proposal can be seen as highly disrespectful, and Zahir, a proud man, felt humiliated and became enraged, leading to an argument between them. At around 2:15 a.m. on July 19th, Zahir dragged Noor, who was barefoot, out of the house and hailed a taxi to the airport. However, halfway there, he realized they wouldn't make the flight in time, so they returned home. The taxi driver later reported that the two appeared to have argued. The woman was silent with a tense expression, while the man was yelling constantly. Shortly after they returned home, Noor tried to leave again. At 2:41 a.m., she made it to the yard but was chased down by Zahir, who pulled her back inside. At 7:12 a.m. on July 20th, Noor attempted to escape by jumping from an upper floor. She ran barefoot, clutching her abdomen toward the main gate, only to be stopped by the security guard and gardener. Shortly after, Zahir noticed something was wrong, jumped down, seized Noor's phone, and locked her in the security room. Minutes later, Zahir, in a rage, dragged Noor back into the house from the security room. Surveillance footage captured no further images of Noor after that. The next time she was seen was when her body was discovered. It was clear that this house was the primary crime scene. Interestingly, on November 14, 2021, Pakistan's Electronic Media Regulatory Authority banned all satellite channels from broadcasting the leaked surveillance footage. Police believe that after Noor's repeated escape attempts failed, Zahir tortured her brutally, a process that lasted the entire day and ultimately ended in her death. Upon his arrest, Zahir pleaded not guilty. However, the case was filled with clear evidence, leaving little room for him to avoid conviction. DNA tests revealed Zahir's semen in Noor's body, Zahir's skin cells under her fingernails, and Noor's blood on the shirt Zahir wore at the time. Both the blade and handle of the murder weapon contained Noor's blood, and the knife was confirmed to belong to Zahir. Noor's blood was also found on a club, which likewise belonged to Zahir. Zahir was the only person with Noor from start to finish, making him the sole suspect. On Zahir's phone, the police found a video of him torturing Noor. Although it had been deleted, the police were eventually able to recover it. All these pieces of evidence point directly to Zahir as the perpetrator. Of course, Zahir was not the only one involved in the crime. On October 14th, the Islamabad court indicted 12 suspects, including Zahir, his parents, 3 household staff members, and 6 employees from the healthcare company. The security guard and gardener were charged with failing to help a person in distress, preventing Noor's escape, and indirectly contributing to her death. The others were charged with withholding information, attempting to destroy evidence, and staging the crime scene. This case drew widespread attention across Pakistan. People were following every development to see the outcome of this trial between two powerful families. Many singers, actors, journalists, and other public figures took to social media, all using the hashtag #JusticeForNoor. Beyond online support, numerous memorials were held in Noor's honor, not only in her hometown but also in cities like Berlin, Los Angeles, New York, London, Toronto, and many others. Although Noor had an outpouring of support, her parents knew that facing a wealthy and powerful family in court would be challenging, with unpredictable obstacles. This proved true. Even during the pre-trial detention phase, tensions between the two families were high. Zahir's family hired a team of high-profile lawyers who used every tactic in the book, leveraging every relevant law to delay the trial and reduce the charges. Zahir himself, the perpetrator, was no less devious. On his way to court, he displayed arrogance, taunting others with remarks like, "It's ridiculous that they arrested me. I'm an American, not a Pakistani. My lawyer will explain everything to you." In addition to his brazen attitude, he fabricated numerous stories throughout the 25 hearings, attempting to mislead the judge. He claimed Noor had many boyfriends, one of whom killed her. Other times, he claimed Noor brought a large amount of drugs to his house, demanding he host a party. He said he refused and went upstairs to sleep, and when he woke up, he found himself tied up, with Noor supposedly murdered by someone else at the wild party, of which he claimed to know nothing. At other times, he said he proposed to Noor but killed her in a struggle after she refused. In short, none of his testimonies were truthful. To lessen his sentence, Zahir resorted to various ploys. He frequently appeared in court carried in on a stretcher or seated in a wheelchair, and he was even removed from the courtroom multiple times due to disruptive behavior. At one point, he pointed at the judge and yelled insults, then pretended to suffer from a mental illness, acting and speaking incoherently. The prosecution was often frustrated by Zahir's bizarre behavior, but continued to counter each claim. When he claimed to have a mental illness, they brought in a psychiatrist to examine him. When he claimed to be too sick to attend court, they arranged for a medical specialist, along with a caregiver, to transport him on a stretcher to the courtroom. Finally, when he ran out of excuses, Zahir shouted, "I'm an American. Pakistan has no right to judge me. I demand to be tried in the United States." It's true that Zahir was an American citizen, and the U.S. Embassy in Pakistan even sent representatives to visit him in jail. However, the U.S. made it clear that American citizens abroad must abide by the laws of the country they are in. When Americans are arrested overseas, the embassy can check on their welfare and provide legal aid contacts, but it cannot offer legal advice, participate in court proceedings, or secure their release. Pakistan's Prime Minister at the time, Imran Khan, publicly stated that the perpetrator would be severely punished regardless of foreign citizenship. The Pakistani government even flagged Zahir's name at border checkpoints to prevent him from fleeing the country. On February 24, 2022, after 8 months of trials and lengthy legal battles, the Islamabad court delivered its final verdict. Zahir was convicted of Noor's murder and sentenced to death. Yes, Pakistan does have the death penalty. Additionally, he received a 25-year prison sentence and was fined 200,000 Pakistani rupees for assault, 15 years in prison with a 100,000 rupee fine for abduction, and 1 year in prison for illegal detention. Altogether, he was fined 300,000 Pakistani rupees, roughly $1,100 at the current exchange rate. Zahir's 2 household staff members, the security guard and the gardener, were each sentenced to 15 years in prison. As for Zahir's parents and the others prosecuted for failing to report the crime and attempting to cover it up, they were ultimately acquitted. Noor's father expressed relief at the verdict. Speaking to the media outside the court, he said, "I am pleased that justice has been served. The law is indeed fair." However, he voiced concerns about the acquittal of the other parties and later filed an appeal, arguing that they should also be held accountable. After review, the court upheld the acquittals. Zahir, sentenced to death, and the 2 employees sentenced to 15 years also appealed to the Islamabad High Court for sentence reductions. Upon review, the High Court upheld the sentences, even increasing Zahir's penalty by adding a second death sentence for assault, bringing his total to 2 death sentences. Noor's father commented, "This outcome proves to everyone that no one stands above the law." Although Zahir was sentenced to death, carrying out the execution posed its own challenges. On April 12, 2023, Zahir appealed to Pakistan's Supreme Court, citing 23 reasons, arguing that the sentence was unfair. However, the Supreme Court dismissed his appeal. Following the widespread media coverage, this case became a national issue in Pakistan, and the government was under considerable pressure not to neglect it. Understanding this, the Jaffer family's spokesperson immediately released a statement distancing themselves from Zahir. The Jaffer family extends its deepest condolences to Noor's family and loved ones. We are horrified and deeply saddened by these heinous actions. We deeply regret this incident. Furthermore, we strongly condemn this violent act and will forever denounce Zahir and his behavior. Zahir's maternal family also issued a clear statement. Our family strongly condemns Zahir's brutal actions. We do not and will never support Zahir in any way. We firmly stand by the rule of law. Justice for Noor must be served and will be served. Zahir's parents also issued a statement through their lawyer. We firmly stand with the victim and will absolutely not protect this son. Thus, Zahir has been disowned by those around him, and the only path awaiting him is the death sentence, although the exact date of execution remains unknown. Since he has denied guilt from the beginning, his motive for the crime remains unclear. Perhaps one day he will feel remorse and confess, or he may die without repenting, leaving the motive a mystery forever. Noor's tragic death was like a spark that ignited an explosive issue, bringing violence against women in Pakistan to a breaking point. In fact, gender inequality in Pakistan is severe, and women face low status in many aspects, such as education, employment, and even within their families. According to the Global Gender Gap Index 2021, Pakistan ranked 153rd out of 156 countries, fourth from the bottom. In 2022, it worsened, ranking 145th out of 146 countries. Some may have heard the term honor killing, where family, tribe, or community members murder others to preserve what they consider the family's honor or reputation. Globally, there are as many as 5,000 honor killings per year. One well-known case involved Kandil Balak, a 26-year-old social media personality known as the Kim Kardashian of Pakistan, who was brutally murdered by her brother for posting provocative photos online. Shockingly, after his arrest, her brother showed no remorse, believing that protecting the family's honor was an honorable and proud act. In recent years, Pakistan has made efforts to pass new laws to protect women and establish special courts for gender-based violence cases, but the challenges remain immense. Just a month before Noor's murder, Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan made a shocking statement. If women dress provocatively, men will be aroused unless they are robots. He implied that the rise in cases involving women was primarily due to their revealing clothing. This statement sparked nationwide protests at the time. And before those protests settled, Noor's murder took place. The issue of women's safety in Pakistan is urgent. According to many Pakistani women, seeking justice for Noor is just the first step forward, but there is still a long road ahead. When gender becomes the reason for bullying and discrimination, when the powerful can act with impunity, when money can manipulate justice and decide life and death, true safety and freedom are out of reach for everyone. In response to the public outcry, the Pakistani government finally recognized the gravity of the problem and began to focus on similar cases. And that's the conclusion of this story. What do you think about it? Leave your thoughts below. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.